Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. UFC Vegas 74, Kai Kara-France versus Amir Albazi just ended, and this is going to be my UFC post-fight full card recap. We're going to talk about every single fight from the early prelims to the main event, and because the main event was so controversial, I did an entire dedicated video on that as well. We're going to talk about it in this video, but I did a dedicated video on it. I will link it down in the description, as well as the end cards if you want to go check that out after this. But we're going to touch on every single fight on this card, starting off with the first fight on the card, Philipe Lins versus Maxim Grishin. This fight, honestly, I wasn't super impressed by either guy. Philipe Lins gets it via unanimous decision. And basically, you had Lins, who was clearly faster on the feet. He was landing good, powerful shots, but every time it looked like, okay, is he going to start maybe getting really aggressive and have a finishing sequence here? He would just kind of clinch up and hold him against the fence. And, you know, Maxim Grishin, he just looked old and slow. And I know he's up there in age. And you know, he had a couple moments where they would be clinched up and then he would throw an elbow over the top and land a big elbow. But for the most part, Philipe Lins was just out there just landing good shots, clinching up with him, you know, just out grappling him, out positioning him in the clinch, and then landing the big shots on the feet. He was a faster fighter, and I think it might be time for Maxim Grishin to hang him up. You know, he's getting up there in age, and just in this fight, he did not look particularly good at all. Ate a lot of big shots, and just really had nothing to offer. Moving up the card, Blackshear versus Luan Lacerda. Blackshear wins via second round TKO via ground and pound. I got this fight completely wrong. I picked Lacerda. I got the first two fights completely wrong. I picked Lacerda and Grishin. Lacerda, I mean, he looked okay in the first round, but he was getting outstruck. He was just kind of plotting forward. He didn't look particularly fast. He did not look like the same guy that fought Cody Stamann. And then in the second round, it's like he was nonstop rolling for leg locks and just holding onto the leg, and Blackshear was defending well, and then he's just holding onto it, and then he's not defending his head at all. So then Blackshear's like, okay, well, I got my legs in a body triangle position, so there's no way, there's no threat of the knee bar. Let me just ground and pound him while he just holds onto my leg that he's never getting. And Blackshear just let down some brutal ground and pound, and Lacerda just stayed there holding onto a leg lock, and eventually the ref was like, okay, well, I've seen enough. Let's wave it off. So Blackshear gets a second round TKO. Luan Lacerda looked nothing like he did in his last performance, in my opinion. He even started to slow down in the second round. First round was fun. I thought Blackshear won the first round. It was competitive. But the second round, the way he just held onto that leg lock and eventually got ground and pound finish, I just thought was a very low fight IQ move. Moving up the card, Elise versus Frey. Elise wins via decision. Not a great fight by any means. Frey won the first round, in my opinion, out-grappling her. Second round was up for debate. Frey was out-grappling her, but didn't really do a whole lot of damage, but landed some shots, and then they got back to the feet, and Elise was landing some good shots on the feet, so I thought Elise probably took the second round. And then the third round was kind of more of the second round. I thought Elise definitely took the third round. Just landing good shots. You know, Frey was slowing down. It was a lackluster performance by both fighters. And I mean, it's shocking to me. There was a scenario where I thought Elise could lose on the scorecards here. There's a potential she lost the first and second round and then won the third. But Elise was just a little bit faster on the feet, did a little bit more damage. I thought Frey actually probably had the better striking and Elise had the better grappling. Not in this fight. Frey had the better grappling. Reed had the better striking. Moving up on the card, Muhammad Naimov versus Jamie Mullarkey. Jamie Mullarkey was originally supposed to fight Guram Kutateladze. Guram pulled out with visa issues. And this has got to be a tough pill to swallow for Jamie Mullarkey, because I thought he was going to lose to Guram Kutateladze and get stopped. But then once you had Naimov step in on a couple days' notice, relatively inexperienced, hasn't fought the greatest level of competition, I said, okay, Jamie Mullarkey's going to win this fight. And Jamie Mullarkey was winning the first round pretty clearly, outstriking him, outgrappling him, outworking him in the clinch. Second round, he walks right into a massive right hand by Naimov, and it was over at that point. As soon as the right hand landed, it was over. Follows him to the ground, lands some brutal ground and pound shots. The ref steps in, TKO second round. Nasty win for Naimov on short notice. I can't wait to see where he goes from here. For Jamie Mullarkey, this has got to be tough. To have your opponent switch out on a couple days' notice and then you're winning the fight and you get finished in the second round, just walking into a big shot, that's got to suck for Jamie Mullarkey. But overall, he was winning the fight before that. It's a tough loss, but I guess he's going to have to move on. And for Naimov, I can't wait to see where he goes from here. Moving up the card, Castañeda versus Muin Gafurov. Gafurov was winning the first round early. It was very competitive. This fight was very competitive and fun throughout. Then at the end of the first round, I thought Gafurov was winning, but it was very close. Gets clipped with a head kick, ends up on his back, hurt badly, ends the round on his back. I thought John Castañeda stole the first round with that head kick. And so then you go into the second round, Muin, Gafurov, moving forward, doing similar to what he's doing in the first round, throwing big shots, kind of being super wild. Thought he's winning the second round, but then he accidentally headbutts him. And I get it. He led with the head. He was being super wild. They deduct a point. It wasn't that bad of a headbutt. It's not like Castañeda was hurt badly. And so then you have a situation where he's lost the first round. Now the second round, even if he wins it, which I believe he did win the second round, it's 9-9. You're going into the third round. The best you're fighting for is a draw. And because of the pace he was putting on, he started to slow down in the third round. John Castañeda lands the better shots, even out-grapples him a bit in the third round, I believe. And John Castañeda wins the third round, therefore he wins the fight. He wins the first, second rounds, or first and third rounds, second rounds a 9-9. But Gafurov, he came in on short notice as well. Even though he slowed down in the third round, I still thought his cardio looked pretty good for the pace that he put on. He landed some big shots. He doesn't get clipped in the first round. I think he takes the first round, so therefore it would be a draw. But John Castañeda just wins the fight with his durability, with his footwork. He's trying to move out of the way of Gafurov. And, John Castañeda gets it done. Moving up on the card, Don'Tale Mayes versus Andrei Arlovski. This is a horrible fight. I knew on paper this was going to be a horrible fight. Luckily, it ended in the second round. You had Don'Tale Mayes getting a second round KO. Arlovski won the first round. First round was kind of uneventful. Don'Tale Mayes looked very slow. Andrei Arlovski just kind of trying to be light on his feet, move around, land some shots. Andrei Arlovski outstriking him in the first round. Second round, Don'Tale Mayes lands a big punch, drops Andrei Arlovski, and finishes him. Andrei Arlovski's getting up there in age. That's why I picked against him. I picked Don'Tale Mayes by KO. I just know Andrei Arlovski, if that chin gets hit by a big shot, he is going out. He's getting so old. He's been around forever. Don'Tale Mayes isn't a good fighter. This wasn't a good fight. This wasn't even a good win, in my opinion. And he finishes Andrei Arlovski in the second round. Moving up on the card, Daniel Santos versus Johnny Munoz Jr. Daniel Santos won the first round, but the first round was kind of competitive. You had Johnny Munoz looking for submissions. I think at one point in the first round, he had a very close armbar, very close triangle. But then after that, it was like Johnny Munoz had nothing to offer. Now, there was a groin shot early in the first round. It was inadvertent, and I think there was another groin shot in the second or third, and there was a point deduction for that, another point deduction on the card is what I mean to say. And but the second and third round were embarrassing for Johnny Munoz. He was just pulling guard and then body triangle from the bottom. And he was literally getting brutally ground and pound. There was elbows. He was eating a lot of shots. And he's just like, oh, I'm just going to body triangle from the bottom. And a lot of the time, it just seemed like he wanted to stay there. Body triangle from the bottom. He wanted to stay there. And, he was just not getting up, even when, you would have Daniel Santos kind of stand up and wait for him to get up, and he would just lay there on his back until the ref would make him get up. And it was just embarrassing second and third round for Johnny Munoz Jr. Got outstruck, got outgrappled, really had nothing to offer off his back after the first round, and loses via unanimous decision. Moving up the card, Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos versus Abubakar Nurmagomedov. Zaleski dos Santos wins via split decision. Honestly, this fight, I thought Dos Santos won. It wasn't a great fight. It could have went either way, but not really, because Nurmagomedov, I thought he won the first round. He landed some good shots early in the first round, and then he kind of just pressed him against the fence and really could never get his grappling going. And you had some moments for Zaleski dos Santos in the clinch with some knees, but I thought the first round, I thought Nurmagomedov took the first round. Second and third, I thought went to Zaleski dos Santos. I just thought Nurmagomedov's just holding on for dear life up against the fence, not really doing a whole lot with it. And, I thought Zaleski dos Santos was landing good knees to the body. When he was breaking, he was landing good shots. Nurmagomedov started to slow down in the third round. I thought the second and third round for dos Santos were clear rounds for him for the most part. I mean, you could make a debate, maybe the second round, but I don't think it should have been a split decision. I think dos Santos landed the better shots, and I thought Nurmagomedov, this is the guy that a lot of people who hate on some of the Dagestani guys, this is a guy that actually fits that mode. Boring, only tries to grapple, holding on. They use that to describe Habib Nurmagomedov isn't even remotely true, or Islam isn't even remotely true. Abubakar Nurmagomedov in this fight just held on for dear life up against the fence and really did nothing outside of the first round. And he should have lost 29-28. I thought that was a pretty clear decision. Moving up the card, Karine Silva versus Ketlen Souza. This fight ended in the first round via knee bar. Karine Silva ended up getting her down. Kind of has her stacked, landing some ground and pound. Falls back for a knee bar. Souza's knee pops immediately and she taps. Silva lets it go immediately. Karine Silva has finished every single fight that she has won. And she made quick work of Ketlen Souza. Ketlen Souza making her UFC debut. Pulled back for the knee bar, even though she had it top position. You know, sometimes that doesn't really work out. Started wrenching it. Ketlen Souza injured her knee, probably torn ACL, MCL, something along those lines. Definitely something wrong with the knee. You could see it in the replay. Good win for Karine Silva, getting the knee bar in the first round. Moving up on the card, Tim Elliott versus Victor Altamirano. Tim Elliott winning this fight via unanimous decision. Won it pretty much with his grappling. Was just able to take him down, beat him up on the ground, land good ground and pound. Victor Altamirano was throwing shots off his back, but really, you know, I mean, he was throwing a lot of shots off his back, and he was actually doing a little bit of damage, but you can't just sit there with a guy on top of you who's also ground and pounding and expect to win the fight. And Tim Elliott went out there. He has that weird, funky style. He was landing good shots on the feet. He got clipped up a couple times, ate a few head kicks. But Tim Elliott went out there and basically just took him down, beat him up on the ground, and won this fight via unanimous decision. Moving up the card, Jim Miller versus Jesse Butler. Short notice fight for Jesse Butler, stepping in on a couple days' notice. Jim Miller brutally KOs him in the first round. Not a whole lot to break down because Jesse Butler threw like one combination, doesn't really land with it. Jim Miller starts moving forward, lands a left hand. Jesse Butler starts throwing back. Jim Miller throws another left hand, slumps him. He's out cold. Jim Miller throws an uppercut as he's seated in the seated position against the fence. Puts him out. Kind of reminded me of Yoel Romero, Luke Rockhold, that finish from a while ago. Nasty finish. Jesse Butler stepping in again on a couple days' notice. Jim Miller wants to fight at UFC 300. I think he's earned that. That probably won't be for another 6 months or so, or not even another 6 months. That won't be till probably the middle of next year, would be my guess. I know if you start doing the math, it could be early next year, but I think the UFC is going to try to space it out and make that International Fight Week. We'll see. But Jim Miller gets another win. I know they're going to constantly ask him when he's retiring. They asked him in the post-fight. He's still winning. So if he can test some of these young up-and-coming guys, why not? I didn't like the Jarrett Gordon booking. I actually picked him to first-round KO Jarrett Gordon, but I switched my pick against Jesse Butler to decision. But Jim Miller gets it done, shows that he's getting old, but he can still beat some of these young up-and-coming guys. Moving on to the co-main event, Alex Caceres versus Daniel Pineda. Alex Caceres clearly winning the first round, beating him up badly, landing nasty shots. It was a fun fight. Daniel Pineda had some grappling exchanges, and then the second round, I think Daniel Pineda, that's when he ended up on Alex Caceres' back for a while, and I thought maybe Daniel Pineda could have took the second round. And then the third round, Alex Caceres just put a beating on Daniel Pineda. And honestly, I think Alex Caceres may have bet on himself by decision, because there was multiple times Daniel Pineda almost looked over at the ref like, please stop this fight. I think there was one body kick where he grabbed his body, he started backing up, and he's like looking over at the ref. Alex Caceres just let him off the hook. Didn't even swarm him or anything. And this happened multiple times in the third round, but he beat the brakes off him in the third round. Alex Caceres, his kicks are his main weapon, but his grappling looked good in this fight as well. He had good scrambles. And outside of where, he ended up getting controlled a little bit in that second round against Daniel Pineda, he looked pretty good in this fight. And he looks like, he's been around forever, but I think he's still getting better time in and time out. And his striking was just the difference in this fight. And Daniel Pineda is super durable and honestly didn't gas as bad as I thought he was going to. He was very tired, but didn't gas as bad as I thought he would in this fight, especially going into the third round, taking as much damage as he did. Moving on to the main event, Kai Kara France versus Amir Albazi. I've done a full breakdown video of this fight, but you have Amir Albazi winning via split decision. And I know a lot of people are screaming robbery this, robbery that. Every close fight's a robbery now. I scored the fight for Kai Kara France. I thought Kai Kara France took round 1, round 4, and round 5. I thought Amir Albazi took round 2 and round 3. I think the clearest rounds in this fight were round 3 for Amir Albazi and round 5 round 5 for Caceres. I thought round 4 was pretty clear for Caceres as well. I thought 1 and 2 were up in the air. So I understand giving 1 through 3 potentially for Amir Albazi and 4 and 5 for Caceres. I have no problem with you giving Caceres really, round 1 and then round 4 and round 5, which is how I scored it, to give Caceres the victory. But this was a fight that honestly I was underwhelmed by. I thought it would be more exciting. I thought it would be, I thought we'd see more action in this fight. But essentially what we saw was Caceres first round. It was competitive. Amir Albazi looking for takedowns, wasn't able to get it, landed some good shots on the feet. Caceres having a little late flurry, which is why I thought he stole the first round. Then you had the second round. I thought Amir Albazi landed the better shots in the second round, but very close second round. Then you have the third round where Amir Albazi gets him down, gets his back, almost gets a rear naked choke, then gets shooken off the last 30 seconds of the third round and gets ground and pound by Caceres. But I thought Amir Albazi still clearly took the third round. You have the fourth round where not really much happens. Caceres outstrikes him, lands some good jabs. Amir Albazi not throwing a whole lot of shots. And then you have round 5 that round 4 goes to Caceres. Then you have round 5, Caceres. Very close round, competitive round, but Caceres lands the better shots, pumping the jab, landed some good leg kicks, winning the 5th round. And I know people keep talking about the 4th round because one of the judges, unfortunately, on his scorecard, gave the 4th round to Amir Albazi. And people keep talking about the stats this, the stats that. The stats are not accurate. I will never use the stats to lean credit to my argument, and I will never use them to discredit my argument. 4th round was Caceres. Don't get me wrong, but stop making the argument based on stats. Those stats are meaningless and they are useless. And just to show you how meaningless and useless they are, I went back and counted the strikes for Amir Albazi in round 4. I've watched it now 3 times total. Amir Albazi landed at least 10 strikes in round 4, and I thought it could have been 12. 2 of them were questionable. I didn't watch them in slow-mo. It was just a quick rewatch. I counted the strikes. So the stats were wrong already. They said 5 shots for Amir Albazi. That's inaccurate. I still thought Caceres won the 4th round, but people making their argument based off stats are driving me nuts. They are absolutely meaningless. I thought this was a fight that showed Amir Albazi kind of belonged, but at the same time, I think it showed Amir Albazi or Caceres is never going to be the flyweight champion unless they improve rapidly. Caceres in this fight, he was very tentative early. Once he had that adversity in the 3rd round, he started to pick it up, but he just never really put off any type of volume at all. I mean, the numbers, if you want to go off the numbers, were relatively low for both guys throughout this fight, and especially for a flyweight fight. Imagine Brandon Moreno putting on this type of performance. It would never happen. And in this fight, what you saw was a very close competitive fight that wasn't super eventful. Nobody got rocked. Nobody got wobbled. Nobody got dropped. You had Amir Albazi, who had some success with the grappling, but not a whole lot. You had Caceres, who had some good success with his striking, had some good leg kicks, but also got hit a couple times as well. You didn't see a whole lot of damage in this fight, and you saw Amir Albazi get the win. I don't think any judge should be giving round 4 to Caceres, but I understand giving 1 through 3 to Amir Albazi. I think that's a totally reasonable scorecard. I don't think it's a horrible scorecard. That being said, I think Caceres should have won. I think he should have won rounds 1, 4, and 5 on the judges' scorecards and got the decision. But honestly, every fight that's close, if you don't agree with the decision, it's automatically a robbery among the MMA fan base. And I'm getting so tired of hearing it over and over and over again. And the commentary team helps push this narrative by talking constantly about betting lines and constantly about stats. And that just pushes the narrative. And then that way there's more outrage. There has been 2 legitimate robberies, unless I'm forgetting other ones, 2 notable legitimate robberies in the past year. That was Sean O'Malley's win over Petr Yan. Petr Yan won 30-27 in my opinion. And I thought it was clear as day. And then Jarrett Gordon over Paddy Pimblett. I thought Jarrett Gordon clearly won 30-27. Both of those brutal robberies, not even in the same hemisphere as Amir Albazi getting a decision win, a split decision win over Caceres. Now, should it have been a different scorecard? Yes, it should have. But at the end of the day, he gets the split decision. I didn't think it was a horrible decision. Caceres looked good in this fight, but not great. Amir Albazi looked good in this fight, but not great. It's just one of those fights where I had higher expectations, so maybe that's why I'm so underwhelmed with this main event. But people just going out of their way. 4-1 Caceres. The first 2 rounds were very, very close. Third round was clear for Amir Albazi. Fifth round was clear for Caceres. Fourth round I thought was pretty clear for Caceres. You know, to just scream after that, it's a brutal robbery when 1 and 2 could have went either way and 3 went to Amir Albazi. I just don't get it. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know, is there anything I missed on this fight card? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching.